Hello, everyone. We're back again to talk about Sarah's Sustainability Action Plan. In today's session, we're going to scale up our focus to the planning and design of larger sites. So we have Erin with us from our urban design and planning studio. Erin, could you start by introducing yourself?
Sure. Thanks, Mark. I'm Erin Riom. I'm a planner, project manager, and senior associate in the Urban Design and Planning Studio at Sarah.
Glad to have you with us. I'm Mark Paraplitza. I'm a principal at Sarah and director of sustainability, and Beth is with me again today. Beth, introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm Beth Lavelle. I'm an architect in our housing studio and part of our sustainability resources group.
Great. So as we've been talking about, earlier this year, we updated our Sustainability Action Plan. It's a document that outlines Sarah's sustainability vision and provides a framework for action in a broad range of interrelated topics. And we've been using this Project Compass. I'll bring it up here on the screen so you can see that. But we've been using what we refer to as a Project Compass to talk about these topics because we're wanting to really think about these things holistically. There are a lot of different aspects of sustainability. Um, so we've organized them kind of generally into these three categories: resource management, health and well-being, and sustainable placemaking. And it's that last one that we're going to focus on today. So this range of topics kind of generally organized around ecology, community, and equity. Definitely a lot of interconnections with other topics too, including water use and sort of health and well-being. But this is a really great way of kind of bringing these things all together at that larger scale. Erin, would you like to start by talking a little bit about what sustainable placemaking means at Sarah and how we approach it?
Yeah, sure. So I think it really comes down to authenticity of place and a community-based process. When we think of sustainable cities or sustainable neighborhoods, I think a lot of people picture the physical aspects. They picture lots of stormwater swales, they picture photovoltaics, things like that. And all of those things are really important, but by themselves, they can be pretty superficial if they aren't rooted in that unique place. So the history of that ecology and culture, and supported and continually cultivated by the community. So, our goal when we approach a neighborhood, a city, or a campus is to start by first understanding its past. What grew there? What were the natural features? Who lived there over time? And how did development patterns evolve? All of those things give us really important clues about how we can revive or restore a place to a more sustainable state. And I really can't overemphasize how important it is for the community to be involved in those conversations from very, very preliminary planning through any design that occurs along the way. We really need community ownership and participation to make places over time. And the best way to do that is really to bring community in from the very beginning and have them involved throughout. Because when the consultants leave, ultimately it's their neighborhood, their city, their campus to sustain over time.
Erin, that's great. Can you think of a specific project example to share as an example of what you're talking about, involving the community, understanding the history of the place?
Yeah, so I think an excellent example of that is our work at Quagley Farm in just outside of Haley, Idaho. It really provides an excellent example of taking a site master plan that was about 1,500 acres. This site is south of Quigley, and it's this really beautiful scenic area. And our work there began in partnership with Regenesis and Biohabitats. And we started by taking a really deep dive to understand the story of place. So, how has the landscape and vegetation changed over the centuries? Who were the first inhabitants of that place? And how did settlement and development change over time, all the way up to the recent use of the site area for agriculture, which ultimately left it a brownfield in need of significant rehabilitation. And its current use unoccupied by cross-country skiers using the area in the winter and hikers and dog walkers during the summer months. So being able to trace that history of place not only gave our team a different perspective of place, but it was really enlightening for the developers who had purchased the site area, city and county staff that were working on the project, and the larger community as well. And it helped everyone to realize how special that place is and all of the potential that it holds for future generations. So with that history as our common framework, we were able to work with the community to create schemes that needs of the property owners, but also concentrated that development and where it would occur close to the city of Haley, and left large portions of the site area undeveloped. Basically, the entire Upper Canyon area were available for restoration, conservation, reconnection of habitat migration corridors. So with that framework as our basis, the master plan also included elements, some of those physical elements that I was describing before, things like on-site energy production, on-site wastewater treatment, bikeable and walkable street network, as well as on-site food production.
Wow, what a great project. So that's really cool. You talked a little bit about the role of the site design and ecology and water, but do you want to just expand on that a little bit more? It sounds like in this, I mean, that's important for all projects or in varying degrees, but especially for this one, it sounds like.
Yeah, the landforms, local and native ecology, and certainly the creeks and water bodies all really contribute to what makes a place unique. And that's particularly the case for this project at Quagley Farm. These are the first elements that we look at when we start doing a site analysis and taking a look at the physical characteristics of a place. In some places, those elements are still readily evident, like they are at Quagley. In other places, they've been paved and built over, and they require a fair amount of restoration to bring them back as part of the experience of a place. And as I mentioned, we often start by looking back to see how a place has evolved over time. Increasingly, though, we're also seeing that we need to be thinking about the impacts of climate change. So what is this place going to look like in the future? How are water conditions going to change? What will climate appropriate vegetation look like in the coming decades as our climate is morphing over time?
That's great. Yeah, I really appreciate this perspective, and I think the thing that's great about it is you've given this example here from Haley, Idaho, which is a fantastic project illustrating this. I know that we work in a lot of different urban settings and campuses at kind of all different scales, and it's really trying to make all these things work in those different contexts. And I think that that's fantastic to sort of be able to bring that into our work at Sarah. As we kind of wrap this up, do you have any kind of final things that you want to leave us with, or things that we maybe have in this year's action plan, or other directions that we might think about for our upcoming work?
Yeah, that's a great question. And, I think what we're looking at doing is trying to apply this philosophy, this sustainable placemaking method across as many different projects and as many different contexts as we possibly can, from urban to rural,
Hmm.
because we feel that it's really important. And I guess I would also just say that I feel so fortunate to be able to work at a place that facilitates that, where
Right.
sustainability is so ingrained in what we do and so important to all of us. It's really what gets us out of bed in the morning, and brings us, maybe at the moment, not to the office, but at least to work.
Right.
And I think that's really fabulous.
Nice. Nice.
I think a takeaway that I have today, Mark, is thinking about my work in the housing studio and seeing how all of the concepts that Erin is talking about, using a planning example at a really big scale, how these same concepts apply to a single building.
Hmm.
I think sustainable solutions at Sarah, at all of our scales, on all of our projects, are really firmly rooted in their specific place, to where, thinking about a housing project example, we can't, we couldn't pick that building up and move it to a different site. It wouldn't make sense. That all of our projects are specific to their site and their community. That's one of the things that I love about this topic in particular at Sarah.
Hmm. Yeah, that's excellent. Well, thank you so much. That's really such an important part of the dialogue, and we've tried to capture some of this in the action plan that we've updated this past year. There's certainly This is a very active and ongoing topic, and so I'm sure there'll be many, many more conversations as we move this forward. We'd like to thank everyone for joining us for this session today. We have two more as we wrap up this series on Sarah's Sustainability Action Plan. So thanks so much.